Okay, good morning, everybody. So today we are going to be taking notes on the Protestant Reformation, Part 1. Basically, this is going to be the start of a change slash Renaissance movement that will be occurring in Europe, and it will start right after the Renaissance. And so now that the Renaissance movement is starting, it's now going to start to move into church. Okay? So this is a part 1 out of part 2 slide. So we're going to start with chapter 14, lesson 1. Okay, so let's move on. So basically, what's going to happen is we talked about before, if you remember, oh God, in the Middle Ages, we had our Great Schism, where the Roman Catholic Church will split into two. It will split into the Holy Roman Catholic Church, which is in Italy, which is in the western part of Europe, and it'll split into the Byzantium or Byzantine Empire, which is in, if you guys remember, Constantinople. Constantine did that with Diocletian. Now it's Turkey. Okay, you had Holy Roman Catholics and Greek Orthodox Catholics. Okay, well, basically what's going to happen is the western part of the church that's still left is going to split again. So now you're going to have the Western Schism. So we've had the Great Schism, and now we're going to have the Western Schism, which means we're going to split the split. We're going to split a half of a half. So the way this happens is because we're going to have 7 popes who are going to come in, who are basically going to stop the tradition that the Pope must live in Rome and move themselves to Avignon, France. Okay, so that's going to happen from 1309 to 1376. 7 popes will do this. Okay, however, in 1378, there is going to be problems because people feel like the Pope should be in Rome, and other popes feel like, well, no, it's okay. We're going to basically be in France. Then we're going to have some also political disputes, theological disputes, meaning we're going to have questions about how we should be Christian or Catholic. Basically, what's happening now is we are weakening the power of the church. And remember, just like the Roman Empire, when we had Caesar and Caesar fell, it started to fall within, right? So now people are going to start speaking out against the church, which will cause this split. So that's not good for the church. And we saw this happening. Renaissance movement change. Now we're going to see change within the church. And here's a big change. They're going to split. Okay? Now, after they split, you're going to have people calling for reform. The first person will be John Wycliffe. Okay, he is an English guy in the 1300s. He will write the Morning Star of the Reformation. He is going to question the Pope's authority, criticize him. Right now, if you remember, or if I explained it before, I might not have, the church are taking these things called indulgences. Indulgences basically mean I've committed a lot of sins. Maybe I'm a soldier or a king or a prince of royalty. Maybe I've murdered tons of people. However, I'm going to give the church a bunch of money and my sins will go away and I am going to go to heaven. That's what an indulgence is. You're basically bribing the church to go to heaven. Okay, he says that this is wrong. Okay, he believed that the Bible was the only true source of authority. You don't need a church, pope, or priest to tell you what it means. He will be translating the New Testament in English. Okay, the church will not like these ideas of John Wycliffe, so basically he will his remains after he dies will be exhumed. He'll die, but then they'll dig up his bones and then burn them. Okay, as long with his controversial writings that he had. So the church is doing its very best to stop these reformers because these reformers are trying to make the church better. The next person will be Jan Hus, okay, or Jan Hus, I should say. He is a Czech. He's from Czechoslovakia, and basically, he will support the vernacular use of vernacular services in the Bible. He will denounce corruption and greed in the church. Basically, he says one pays for confession, for mass, for the sacrament, for indulgences, for churching a woman, for a blessing, for burials, for funeral service, for prayers. The very last penny which an old woman has hidden in her bundle for fear of thieves or robbery will not be saved. The villainous priest will grab it. So basically what he's trying to say is it's the church that are stealing your money and not thieves and people outside. He will be excommunicated as well as burned at the stake. So you see the church is still doing what they're accustomed to doing. You don't listen like they did with King Henry, they're going to excommunicate you. If excommunication doesn't work, then they're going to kill you. Okay, so basically what's starting to happen is you're having people speak out against the church. The problem is their movement is dying because they're dying with the movement. Okay? And our last person that we have is Desmoderius Erasmus, which we've kind of talked about already, and you've taken one quiz question of him. Like I said, he will be a Renaissance person, but he will also be part of changing the church, this Protestant Reformation. Okay? Desmoderius Erasmus he's a Dutch humanist scholar, okay? He was basically taught his readers not to follow the clergy blindly, okay? So basically what that means is don't just listen to what the priest is saying, read the Bible. He wrote In the Praise of Folly, which criticized the corrupt church and the wealth of the church. So basically in his Praise of Folly, as you guys read, he says the church should not, again, be taking money, criticize that priests and bishops and popes are becoming corrupt, all right? And he also challenged that people were obsessed with saints. They're obsessed with sacraments, meaning confession and baptism. And basically this distracts you from being a simple worshiper of Jesus. However, even though he's challenging the church, he will say that all of these people that are also challenging the church are wrong. And they're wrong because it seems like these other people are becoming very violent. And Desmoderius Erasmus detests violence since he was a Renaissance man and said, you still must remain faithful to the church. It's okay to ask questions, but not to protest. Which brings me to the title of this slide, which is Protestant Reformation. The term Protestant comes from the word protest. Reformation, if you take the first part of it, reform. So basically, what Desmoderius Erasmus is saying is, it's okay to ask questions of the church, but you shouldn't protest them, and you shouldn't reform them. But again, I'm foreshadowing for the next lesson because that's what eventually is going to happen. People are going to want to protest the church, and they're going to want to reform it.